Okay, quick forward. I was going to make this more satirical and make jokes about how great these treatments are, but apparently YouTube isn't very receptive to medical misinformation, even though it's satirical. So, just as a quick disclaimer, do not try any of these treatments I'm about to talk about in this video, and seek professional medical help if you're suffering from any disease that may be mentioned from here on in. Okay, disclaimer BS aside, alternative medicine. What is it? Well, in most cases, it's treatments that originate from traditional medicine. Because traditional medicine is, well, traditional, that means it was also created before we had access to most of the knowledge we do today. So, as you can imagine, things can get pretty weird pretty quickly. And that's what we will be looking at today. Our first alternative medicine that we'll be looking at is sunning your perineum. Now, for those of you not familiar with the term, I'll clarify. It is about sunning your gooch, laying bare your derriere, letting the sun acquaint your taint. A lot of alternative influencers will preach the benefits of doing this because they believe that because of the location of the perineum, which is here by the way if you still haven't caught on, it'll never be exposed to the sun and therefore will not get the necessary vitamin D that we get from the sun. They fixed this by exposing it to the sun for between 30 seconds to a couple of minutes, and doing this once a day you supposedly should see increased benefits to libido, energy and sleep. This obviously isn't supported by any actual research though, but it has been shown to cause an increase in cancer in the region. Who would have thought? The perineum, compared to the rest of our body, has relatively thin skin, meaning there's less to protect you from UV rays. This leads to increased rates of melanoma and both squamous and basal cell carcinomas. So not only is it extremely emasculating, this is the pose that you need to sit like for at least a minute, it also has negative health outcomes. So where did the idea of sunning your gooch even come from? Well, if you'd have asked me, I would have said it was an inside joke gone too far, but it actually has its roots in Taoism and Taoist belief that the area is where energy enters and exits the body. In Taoism, the perineum is referred to as the gate of life and death, which I mean it's pretty close to a gate of life and death, so close enough. Anyway, the last thing I need is to be walking on a sunny day through a residential area and being greeted by someone's third eye. So do not try this at home. More so for the sake of my mental health than the health risks. I'm not even sure how to segue this into the next section, but I'll try. If you thought exposing your nether regions to the sun was bad medical advice, how about ingesting the nether regions of another animal? Yeah, that transition was kind of weak. But still. Up next is traditional Chinese medicines. You're probably familiar with the rhino horn soup for libido or shark fin soup, also for libido. A lot of traditional Chinese medicine does seem to be about male impotence, but those aren't even the ones I'm going to be talking about today. There are much worse things than just these. One of the strangest medicines is the soul of a recently hanged criminal. The Compendium of Materia Medica is a book published in 16th century China, which describes the 35 human waste products that can be used for medicine. Editor's note, I am definitely going to be making a full video on this, it's pretty interesting stuff. One of those is the soul of a recently hanged criminal. Apparently, right after hanging a criminal, you can dig the earth under where they are hanged and you will find a material similar to charcoal, and that is the soul of the hanged criminal. Anyway, that's not even the worst one that I saw. Ren Zhong Huang is a type of medicine infused with licorice designed to treat inflammation of the skin and mouth. Can you now guess what the medicine is that they infuse with the licorice? Yeah, it's human feces. I'm not kidding. I even found a few stores that sell them in the US, and you can get a pound of human shit licorice for only $32. That is going straight into my wish list. So, if any of you would like to get me a late birthday present, here's your chance. Thankfully, most of these ancient traditional Chinese medicines are no longer used, although I would be interested in seeing if the hanged criminal's soul is real. Might even try to create my own infinity golem with different souls. I wonder if the crimes of the criminal changes the power of the soul stone that you get from them. I wouldn't mind my taxpayer money going towards something like this, and I'm sure many of you would agree. Anyway, next we have spiritual faith healing. Now, I'm not talking about someone going to church and then praying and feeling better. No, what we're talking about is the grand extravagance of faith healing that is usually promoted by the Pentecostal church. I'll give you an example. Here, a man, obviously distraught and looking for guidance, comes to this female pastor looking for healing because he has stage 3 colon cancer.
Pray for me, please, because I have a colon cancer, please. So I want to be healed, and I have a lot of faith that God is going to heal me.
Your faith is making you well right now. Jesus is coming in power to heal you and deliver you. Thank you, Jesus. I break every generational curse off of you.
Now, this is what stage 3 colon cancer is. At this stage, it has already spread to the lymph nodes, and the prognosis usually is that about a third of people die within the next 5 years. In the video, he returns 2 weeks later and claims that the cancer has been fully removed without treatment.
I remember you a couple weeks ago at Fivefold Church here.
Pray for me, and after 2 weeks, I went to the doctor for a CT scan, and the doctor got surprised that they don't find nothing more.
In 99% of cases, this doesn't happen naturally and the cancer will progressively get worse. But then again, it could be that his system somehow fought off the cancer with the faith of prayer, so I can't definitively rule out anything here. However, in this video by the same lady, we have something else altogether.
God is setting you free right now. Is there anything you wanted to renounce?
I want to renounce a generational curse. My child is autistic, and he has no brains at all. Like, we've tried everything, and I've gone through deliverance before, and it's just so hard to break this curse.
They really do love their generational curses. Imagine living your life where you can just blame everything on a generational curse. It's cold in the middle. I rebuke this generational. Anyway, the guy in the video gets his 15 minutes and really goes all out.
It is time now for your deliverance and your family's deliverance. I break every generational curse off of you, off of this whole family. And I detach this family and you from what you spoke. I declare every spirit attached, every spirit of witchcraft, every spirit of mental illness. I declare on 3, all must leave him in Jesus' name. 1, 2, 3. Free.
Funniest thing is that in Christianity, women aren't even allowed to be pastors in the majority of sects. So would she really be able to channel divine energy? Not according to the Bible. Anyway, most Christians are cool, but I can't get behind these performative seizures and speaking tongues business. So that's why I've included it in this video. Crystal healing is our next alternative medicine, and it's about as dumb as you'd expect. And no, I'm not just talking about people who like to collect crystals because they look nice. I'm talking about people who genuinely believe that there is healing energy within precious stones, and that certain stones can be used to cure certain illnesses. Here's an image that describes some of the most common types of stones and what they're supposed to do. But I'm actually lying, and I swapped most of them around, but I'm guessing you didn't notice because really they all just sound vague and stupid. I'll add the evil eye charm bracelet thing into this section because it's basically the same thing. You think wearing a coloured stone on your wrist is going to protect you from black magic and the evil eye? If I was a sorcerer and I found out that my ritual didn't work because you were wearing a stupid wrist stone, I would be asking for a refund. I think the funniest part is when 5G conspiracists team up with crystal healers and claim that the precious stone shungite can absorb 5G waves. Like the global overlords of the world created 5G to mind control everyone, but somehow they overlooked a little rock that completely negates their entire effect. The only crystal I believe can give you magic powers is crystal meth. Shout out to my meth addicted viewers, you guys are keeping it real. The last one's going to be a case study. Now, for the purposes of privacy, I'm not going to include her name or usernames, and I'll just refer to her as D. I'll start with how I came across this account. I was scrolling Instagram Reels one day and then a post from an influencer came up, and I thought it would be the usual multi-level marketing influencer posts, but the person in question just had like a huge tumor in the middle of her face, like directly on her nose. I then checked the comments and they were all basically begging her to go get help because it looked like a basal cell carcinoma, which will kill you if left untreated. Anyway, I then go to her page and you can see how the tumor progressively gets worse from watching her reels. This picture was around 12 years ago when she first got diagnosed with BCC, and she even talks about how at one point she was very close to having it removed very early on and then to go into chemo, but decided to back out to alternative methods of healing. Scrolling through her posts, she has a lot of posts mentioning a certain Dr. Joe Dispenza. This doctor, well, he's not actually a medical doctor, he has a PhD in recreation and leisure studies, whatever that means. Anyway, this doctor preaches the idea that through meditation and thoughts you can heal your illnesses. Now looking back at Dee's posts, it makes more sense now where she talks about the healing powers of thoughts. She even has links to a pseudoscientific film called Source. I watched the trailer for it and there's a pretty telling quote in it.
Whatever these individuals did was able to change the biology of a cancer cell in a dish.
I'm now starting to understand why YouTube is pretty strict with medical misinformation in videos. Because obviously it leads to people like D foregoing actual treatment in favor of whatever learning to neuroadapt is. She even tried this voltage therapy where she sticks 2 electrodes into her face and tries to melt the tumor, with live wires running electricity into her face for 4 hours a day. She states that the results should show within a month, and it's been 3 since she made that post. The website that she got this from is called cancer-treatment.net, apparently ran by some Indian dude named Ajay. I haven't looked too deeply into it, but there are spelling mistakes all over, so I'm not the most hopeful that his innovative treatment actually works. This Ajay character did have a phone call with a Dr. Robert O. Becker, who was a researcher in electromedicine, and there's a conversation he has on his website that has an absolute gem that I was not expecting.
My point is that are you still involved in research, or do you have abundant?
I have not been doing research in this area since 1980. Mm-hmm. Okay. I lost all of my research grants because I said things that were not very popular with the federal government. And that was that.
Honestly, O'Becker, same. Dee continues to post on her Facebook page pretty regularly, posting mostly about any of the multi-level marketing companies that she's involved in, or about the goings-on at the senior centre. Most of the MLM stuff that she's into is skincare and beauty related, and can I just say this one comment on her Instagram had me bursting out laughing. But there are others which are pretty sobering, especially the ones where you can kind of tell where the commenter is trying to scare Dee into getting actual treatment. Recently her Facebook page got taken down, and the reason why is humorous but in the most morbid way possible. It was taken down because they thought she was just posting graphic content. Which, I mean, she does have an open wound on her face, so they're not completely wrong there. I think the most profound thing about this whole scenario is that she is inadvertently documenting the pathogenesis of her BCC. I mean, all it takes is it metastasizing in one wrong area and it's all over. At the end of the day, there isn't really much you can do for this type of person. The lengths that some people will go to avoid confronting reality is often awe-inspiring, and not in a good way. Finally, I'd like to reiterate, don't go and harass this person if you do manage to find their account. They're obviously in the wrong, but that doesn't mean they should be attacked for it. Maybe this final case study is a warning as to how easily you can fall for these alternative medicines. I have a few friends who work as doctors and radiologists, and this type of distrust in medical professionals is a lot more common than you'd believe. I remember shadowing doctors one time for work experience in school, and let me tell you, some people really believe skimming through one PubMed article is enough to make them experts of whatever they just googled. Anyway, that's all we have for alternative medicines. Obviously, don't try any of the medicines we discussed in the video because the tax man's at the door and I need to keep this video monetized. But in all seriousness, don't try any of these at home. Anyway, that's all we have for today's video. If you liked it, consider liking and subscribing, but other than that, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.